Welcome to the Baseball Together podcast with your hosts, Blackjack Brad and Briggy Blue Eyes. And now, Baseball Together. Baseball family, welcome to this week's episode, the Sunday episode of the Baseball Together podcast. I'm Brig. I got Mr. Brad here with me, finally, again. We're just still glad.
I really, Brig, I never thought I would be so happy to come home from vacation. I cannot stress enough the altitude issue. Feeling out of breath, just sitting. And trying to control your breathing. No, I'm not, because that's the thing is I'm so glad to be back because I'm not feeling it. But it was I slept horribly for 4 nights because I was trying to manage my breathing and get everything level enough to relax. It was 2 o'clock every single night.
Yeah,
which is maybe only an hour really later than I usually go to bed, but at the same time though it was enough because I still had to get up and do stuff.
Yeah,
there was no napping on vacation.
No, of course not. Why? It's not a vacation. It was a trip. There's a difference.
You're right.
Baseball family, if you don't know the difference between a vacation and a trip, you have not taken enough of the other one. Whichever one you haven't done. It's a real thing. All right, baseball family, today we're going to talk about the anonymous MLB player survey or player poll. The Athletic every year puts on a series of interview questions that they pose to as many players as will let them, as will opt in to answering. And the conversation goes for the first half-ish of the season, so from spring training until early May. They interviewed over 135 players across 21 teams. The players are granted anonymity in exchange for honest takes. The topics that they covered are robot umpires, organizations that they would or would not like to play for, including managers that they would and would not like to play for, some of the impact on sports betting and who their favorite players in the league are to watch, who they fear facing the most, etc. So, Brad and I thought it would be fun to go through these survey responses and kind of give you an idea on what the pulse of Major League Baseball is from the player's perspective. Now, a couple of things that are worth noting, a little bit of an alibi moment for the Athletic reporters. They say this is not a scientific poll. Not every player they spoke to answered each question, and not every one of them provided a qualifying statement or a quote of any kind to support, justify, or defend their position, though many of them did, obviously, and we'll talk about those. So there's how it goes. A number of these polls you'll find, and we'll point out which ones, where the player was allowed to pick one person, or one answer was, I guess, accepted. They were not allowed to stack answers. You couldn't say, I like watching these 2 players most. It's one most, Brad. Most means one.
One mostest, yeah.
One most. Okay?
Sure.
So first, let's begin. Which player do you most like to watch play? Again, one answer allowed only. And anybody who got at least 2 votes is included in this chart that they've got. Number 1, Shohei Ohtani. Was that a surprise to you?
No, not even a little bit. There's nobody in the game who's more electric than him. Anytime he steps up to the plate, you think there's a possibility that something crazy is going to happen. Whether it is an absolute nuke or somebody who is unreasonably fast for his height and build is going to hit a triple or something. I don't know. But Shohei Ohtani is must-see TV no matter where he's at on the field. All the time.
I agree. He was afforded 29 votes out of the 135 respondents. He got 29. He's far and away above everybody else. Number 2 came in at Bobby Witt Jr., had 14 of the 135 votes. I'm not sure that's a terrible surprise. I think sort of on the, it takes one to know one, I guess, or everybody understands their betters or their equals better than anyone else.
Game knows game, right?
Yeah, game knows games. Great way to put it. One of the things, and Brad, I want to ask you this. but one of the things I had a couple things surprised me. Okay, so I want to
Okay.
know what surprised you. The first thing that surprised me is that Aaron Judge ended up 6th on the list, and that's okay, I suppose. But the fact that he was tied with Francisco Lindor, that was the most surprising. They each received 5 votes, so only 5 votes. Both of them got the same number of votes. Is that surprising to you?
Surprised they got that many. I think that they talked to 5 Yankee players and 5 Mets players in this group, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Aaron Judge, to me, like, yeah, when he's in a home run chase, then you're watching, right?
Yeah.
But like, honestly, somebody who is as one-dimensional as far as like what he does, to me, Judge is like exciting, like I said, when he's in a home run chase or when he's touching 400, right? Like
Right.
that's exciting. But like generally in like August, as a baseball fan, I'm not dropping what I'm doing to watch Aaron Judge. That's just
Interesting.
the way. Same thing with Francisco Lindor. 5 years ago, probably, but now, I don't think so. I don't think so. I'm dropping what I'm doing to watch Fernando Tatis. I can't believe he only got 3. Mike Trout. Mike Trout is almost like a curiosity these days because you're like,
Yeah.
is he going to show us a flash of what he had? I don't know.
I don't know.
But like Ellie De La Cruz with 9, spot on. Ronald Acuna Jr. with 10, spot on. Those guys are must see TV.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
something wild is probably going to happen. Same thing with Ohtani.
Yeah.
Bobby Witt Jr., he's going to make a highlight play at shortstop because that's just standard for him because that's how good he is.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I don't think so. But like pitchers like Tarek Skubal and Garrett Cole having 4 votes for Skubal and 2 for Cole, like, I don't know. It feels a little low because either one of those guys could throw a no any given day.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, though, it's like if your team is playing against them, like I want to see if they can get to them, right?
Yeah. 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 The pitching was the absence of pitching on this list was one of the things that also surprised me the most. On top of the fact that Paul Skeens was last
Yeah,
in
he
the
got 2.
featured list, right?
Mm-hmm.
He had 2 votes. Garrett Cole had 2 votes. Trinan 2 votes. DeGrom 3 votes, and then Tarek Skubal with 4. Those are the only pitchers on this list.
I think Skeens only got 2 of those because nobody wants to watch the Pirates.
Yeah, but
Like,
these are
really,
players.
though. I understand that, but the players don't want to tune in to watch the Pirates because, like I said, game recognizes game, and they recognize when there isn't any as well. And
yeah,
so,
you're right.
and I got a whole other thing about that coming up, Rick. Just keep waiting.
I'll bet you do.
But yeah, no, I'm not super surprised Skeens only has 2 just because of who he plays for. If he played for the Yankees or the Dodgers or played for any better team anywhere else, it'd probably be more. But I think teams are like, I'm not going to tune in to watch Skeens throw a gem and then lose 1-0.
Yeah, it is disappointing. That's for sure. So a couple of quotes from players. Shohei Ohtani, he makes it look easy. Or how can you honestly pick someone else? It's hard to get him out. What he does, I don't know if we'll ever see it again. Those are just a few of the
He's a cheat
quotes
code.
from players. He's a cheat code. Yeah, I saw that one. I really want to see him pitch again. I saw that was a good one. So that was cool on Bobby Witt. He steals bags, hit for power, and plays good shortstop. So most of those are in tune with the responses most people gave. On Acuna, the guy's a freak of nature.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely true. And then Ellie De La Cruz seems like he has fun, right?
Yeah, I think that's a great one. He does.
And
He
I
does.
agree.
And I think that's a big part of it too, is that like so many of these guys high on the list seem like they're having fun because let's be honest, baseball's more fun when you're good at it. Anything's more fun when you're good at it.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
For sure.
And so, but like Garrett Cole never seems like he's having fun. Paul Skeens seems pissed off that he's in Pittsburgh at this point.
Yeah, he really
Right, so-
does.
I think that's part of it, why they're not as enjoyable to watch.
That's a good point. Last thing I want to talk about, Brother Harper. this comes up a number of times, but this quote, anonymously, obviously, but this quote, he's the guy that if he comes off injury, he's going 4 for 4 with 3 homers. If he's getting booed at a stadium, he's going to hit a homer. He has that clutch gene in him. And I agree. I think of all the people, and we're going to talk about this, but of all the players that you could put in a big spot, I think Brother Harper is a contender for the guy I want almost no matter what.
I 1000% agree with you. There's something different about him, and he might not put up an MVP season every year, right? But I feel like he deserves to be at least top 10 every single year, because if you need him in a big spot, he's going to come through. And
yeah, feels that way.
He's proven it time and time again in the playoffs, where it's like guys around him are floundering, but he's still out there going 2 for 4 and getting late inning hits and driving in runs when you need them. It's just like, is the game going to be within reach when he comes up to the plate at the end of the game? If it is, you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
If not, then maybe he'll do something to get you there. But it's the clutch gene is absolutely what it is.
I thought that was the best way to put it. It's a clutch gene. He's like an equalizer, right? He will balance the scales if it needs realignment, or he will tip it in his favor if you can't hang in there.
And that's the criticism that people have had of LeBron James for a long time, because comparing LeBron James and Bryce Harper were like the 1-2 for a long time, because it's all we had for either sport, right?
Yeah,
but people were saying that LeBron didn't have the clutch gene because he would pass at the end of the game when it came time to get a big shot. It's like, well, because that's his game, right? But
right.
Brother Harper's game is getting you a double or a home run when you need it.
Yeah. He wants the ball.
Or even just shooting the ball the opposite direction to bring in 2 runs. Like, he does what needs to get done. He understands that, he knows how to do it, and he does it pretty much every time.
That's right.
It's awesome.
I love it. So here we go. What hitter would you least want to pitch against in Game 7 of the World Series? Only pitchers were asked this question. They were given one answer only. Number 1 vote getter out of 64. 10 votes for Juan Soto. 9 for Shohei Ohtani, 6 for Aaron Judge. Brother Harper, you got to go all the way down to 3 out of 64 votes, tied with Bobby Witt Jr. And just above him, tied with 4, are J-Ram, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, and Yordan Alvarez, making up the middle of this chart. Okay, I gave this a lot of thought, all right? I think Aaron Judge actually belongs in the 4 to 6 vote range. I think that makes sense. I think what I've seen of him, even when he's killing it, I struggle with there are 2 outs and Aaron Judge is at the plate. Somebody do an analysis, because I think he really struggles with 2 outs. I think I need to do that analysis, but that's what I think is happening. Does Juan Soto deserve to be the number 1 guy based on last year's playoffs? Yes, I think so.
Yeah. Not just last year's playoffs over the course of his career. Absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
Freddie Freeman, though, being this low on the list was a little bit offensive. And J-Ram being this low on the list was a little confusing.
Yordan Alvarez is a little confusing, only having 4.
I agree, yeah.
The only thing that I can think of is that guys have faced Soto more. Maybe they faced Ohtani more, especially in the playoffs. That they have not faced Yordan Alvarez, Freddie Freeman, or J-Ram in a high leverage situation where, dude, if those guys get up there, you're screwed.
Yeah.
It's the only way to put it.
You're just toast,
or
man.
It's like as a fan of a team that has played the Astros in the playoffs, every time Yordan Alvarez stepped up to plate in the playoffs, like, oh no. This is probably not going to end well.
That's how it is with Frederick, right? Freddie's that way. You're like, oh, dang it. Here comes Freddie with his broken ankle, and he's going to nuke us right now. No
Cracked
big deal.
rib and
I am still not over how epic his performance was in the World Series last year. I'm just not over it. I never get over it.
I don't think most people will. It was amazing.
Couple quotes on Juan Soto. It's ridiculous. If there's a moment where he can turn it on, he's able to do that. It's crazy. And I think that's specifically true for his plate appearances. I think it's absolutely 100% and abysmally false if you try to put that on his defense. But it is true for his plate appearances,
Right.
which is the question. Ohtani, I have nothing for him. That's a tough at bat for me. So that's going to be from a pitcher. Yeah. It's like,
That's so funny.
He steps to the plate.
I have no
I don't
way.
know what to do. I have no
I
idea.
have no way to get him out. Oh, this is a good one on Judge too. He rakes against me. Like, oh,
Yeah, I like this one on Judge. He puts fear in pitchers even when he's not due up in the inning. You're wondering about him the next inning.
It's the same thing
Freddie.
with Jordan Alvarez too. That guy
Yeah.
owns me. He's my nemesis.
Be
I
fun
think we
to
could
try and
figure out
track
who some
that
of these
down.
guys are.
Yeah, I was having the same thought. Oh, here's Freddie. I think he showed us last year in the postseason. Goodness gracious. Oh, man. That's great.
So good.
Okay, let's move to the next question. Which pitcher, it's the inverse, which pitcher would you least want to face at the plate? Game 7 of the World Series. Number 1, Chris Sale, got 8 out of 50 votes. Next was Tarek Skubal, got 5. Zach Wheeler, Aroldis Chapman, Paul Skeens, and Duran from the Twins. I don't know how you say his name. Joan?
I think it's Yohan.
Yawn? Okay, they
Yeah.
all got 3 votes, and then there was a bunch of 2-vote getters. Spencer Strider, Blake Trinan, Framber Valdez, Jacob deGrom, Michael King, and Tyler Glasnow. Okay, I was surprised to see Chris Sale this high on the list, probably because this late surge we're seeing from him is as old as, like, last season, right? Like the
Right.
part
There's
of last
a lot
season.
of recency bias in that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. But Skubal makes sense. We've seen a lot of resurgence from Aroldis Chapman as well. And don't you think it's interesting that Aroldis Chapman is sort of back to form now that he's not playing in Pittsburgh?
Not surprising.
Isn't that interesting? I'm just saying.
Well, and also, it is kind of funny, though. He got 3. I think it's safe to say that Jose Altuve did not respond, or that was not Jose Altuve's response to the survey, if he was one who was surveyed.
Yeah, he didn't get asked that question. Jose Altuve probably said something like, I don't know, Skubal? I don't know. There's only a couple of
Maybe.
American League pitchers on here, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is kind
A
of
couple of
interesting.
the quotes. Chris Sale was untouchable last year. You win all 3 categories in the Triple Crown. It's hard to, name anybody else. That's
Chapman,
it.
somebody said, wouldn't want to face him in his prime. Is what somebody said.
Yeah, okay, but I feel like his prime comes and goes based on what day he's pitching.
Right, but I think this is an even better response right here. I'm going with Aroldis because he throws so hard and is kind of wild on the mound. You don't really know where the ball is going to end up. It would be a tough at bat if he's on and still nerve-wracking when he's off. That is absolutely spot on.
That feels perfect. But don't you
Don't
think
dig in there too deep.
don't you think that Aroldis Chapman is like he reaches back and gets his prime back every third or fourth appearance or something like that, where you're
I
like,
think it depends on who he's facing, the situation. Like I think there are times when he's facing 6, 7, 8, he doesn't reach back. But if he's facing 1, 2, 3, he'll reach back.
yeah, good call. That's a good call. All right, let's move to the next poll. We have MLB players make it clear they don't want to play for the A's. This is the headline. But now let's talk about which managers, okay? So let's just get into this. Which manager, aside from your own, would you most like to play for? I like that they excluded that you could not pick the guy you were being, managed by right then. Everybody only got one answer. Bruce Bochy ran away with it. 20 out of 121 responses is the highest vote getter. Then Terry Francona got 17 and Stephen Vogt got 15. The difference here is that Bochy and Francona are legends. They have been doing it for 7,000 combined years, and Stephen Vogt is brand new.
Yeah.
So what is going on there?
Okay, so this is the thing I think it is with Stephen Vogt. So he was the bullpen coach in Seattle for a year before he went to Cleveland.
Yep.
And everybody loved him. Like, absolutely loved him. And I think that has translated over to him being a manager. all three of these guys feel like player managers.
Mm-hmm.
Bochy and Francona, well, Bochy mostly, I feel like, kind of no nonsense, but all at the same time, I don't want to say no nonsense, but like, he's the kind of guy who can balance, and I think Francona, now that I think about it, is probably the same way, can balance, play when it's time to play hard when it's time to play, but be serious when it's time to be serious, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I think that those guys understand the balance. I'm sure Vogt is probably the same way. But there are some guys on here who it seems like I don't know that I've seen Craig Counsell smile more than twice ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
And
does
he's
he
the number
even
4
like his
guy.
job?
Yeah, I don't know. He's good at it.
He is. I'm surprised Dusty Baker only got 2, and I bet that those are guys, honestly, who play for the Astros. Who are like, man,
Yeah.
we sure wish we had Dusty back.
Yeah, I'll bet you're right. There's a bunch of guys on here that are in this that received way fewer votes than even Council's 9 votes as the number 4 vote getter. But you look around and you're like, okay, what is with Dave Roberts only getting 7 votes? That surprised me. And Alex Cora seems like a guy who's got your back all the time. I think Alex Cora is being strung up a little bit because the organization behind him sucks.
Yeah.
That's what's going on. I think they've taken
Probably,
they've taken the reins out of his hands a few times, too many.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I will say, though, that I do think it says something, the fact that they fired him for a year and then hired him right back.
Yeah.
Like, I think that says a lot about what they actually think of him and what the players think of him, because you don't do that with a guy. I mean, the Astros didn't do it with AJ Hinch.
Nope.
However, he got 4 votes on this list.
He sure did. It's really interesting. Bruce Bochy quotes a lot of championships, and I like old school style. Those were attributed to Bochy. Here's one. He's a legend for Terry Francona, but this is the one that I think makes the most sense for Tito. He commands a room almost like a friend. He's still an authoritative figure, but I would say he's more like a young grandpa, which is kind of what you were saying.
That's awesome. Young grandpa.
Like, let's play, okay? We're going to color. Let's color. It's time to play cards. Cool. But now it's time to mow the lawn, and we are going to do a really good job.
Yeah. Yep.
Go pull those weeds. The 2 quotes on Vogt, because I played with Stephen Vogt, I love Stephen Vogt. That's amazing to me. And then awesome guy, fun to be around. Everybody knew he was going to be a manager before. Those are probably your Mariners guys saying that.
Maybe. I don't know. Well, because he was, like I said, he was a coach there, but I think there are certain guys who have a really good reputation in the clubhouse. Like right now in Seattle, it's Donovan Solano. He's not the best player, but they keep him around because everybody loves the dude.
Right. Yes.
So, which is why I'm surprised that Rowdy got cut. But anyway, that's a whole nother thing.
Let's flip it around. Which manager aside from your own would you not want to play for? Some of these make perfect sense. Bud Black, got it. Oli Mormal, perfect. Mike Schilt, a little confusing. Ron Washington, I do not understand. I don't understand why. Kepler,
especially
Gabe Kapler,
since he got
it.
Wash got 4 on the would want to play for, so he's split. And Schilt got some too. Schilt got 3 on the would want to play for, so I don't know.
And 4 on the would not. So that's out of 40 respondents, 4 would not. So let's look at the quotes on Ron Washington. Here's the only one, because I want to use my cell phone. Because they have a no cell phone in the clubhouse policy. That's your chief complaint. Let's say this is not possible, but let's say that distillation is the representation of everybody else's opinion as to why they do not want to be managed by Ron Washington. And again, these are respondents who are not actively being managed by Ron Washington. Right? So this is rumor mill and reputation-based voting.
Kind of. Look at the one on Marmal. He says, I don't really know many managers. I'm trying to think someone in our division, so I can just say someone. Who's the Cardinals guy? Yeah, just put him down. That is the award-winning response.
Yeah, dude. That skews every result.
Cubs player. So one that's funny to me is, so at the bottom of all these, it'll say the guys who all got 1 vote. And Scott Service actually got one vote on this one. I think we can conclude with this, Brig. I bet you Jared Kelnick was a responder on this.
Uh-huh. I'll bet you're right. Okay, so those are funny. Let's get to which organizations have good reputations among players and which have bad. The Dodgers are far and away, out of 126 respondents, 82 voters chose the Dodgers. They were allowed to vote. Voters were allowed to pick two organizations, and the Dodgers ran away with it. The Yankees got 40 out of the 126 respondents, but also 3 bad responses, 3 negative responses, whereas the Dodgers got 0 negative responses. Number 3 is the Braves, 25, Cubs, 22, Cleveland and the Mets both got 17. If we run all the way back down the opposite side of the list, the Rays are split right down the middle, 10 positives and 7 negatives. Would you look at that?
That probably has a lot to do with their ability to use analytics, but not wanting to pay anybody.
Yeah, retention and value. I agree. Also, it's never mind. Whatever. They're going to sell anyway. It doesn't matter. The A's got 39 bad and 0 good. White Sox, 31 bad, 0 good. Rockies, 25 bad, 0 good. Marlins, 25 bad, 0 good. Pirates, 24 bad, 0 good. Angels, 19 bad, 0 good.
I actually like that my Mariners got 3 bad, 0 good. Maybe the front office. I hope the front office look at these. Like, I really do. Because I know that they do something similar to this for the NFL. And I think it was the Cardinals, the Arizona Cardinals a couple years ago they scored the worst on a survey like this. And it was because of the way that they treat their players' families, and the way that they don't upgrade their facilities. And they released a response, and they were like, time to make some changes.
Yeah. Yep.
So it would be nice if owners and front offices cared enough to look at stuff like this and be like, oh my gosh, let's go talk to our players. We want candid responses. What don't you like? Why do we have a bad reputation? I don't think the Pirates care, but I would hope that teams like the Angels, maybe the Marlins care. I don't know. And maybe none of those teams care. Maybe that's why they are the way that they are. But
here's what they said on the Angels. They just don't know what they're doing top to bottom. That's what I've heard. That's interesting. On the Pirates give players resources, but their owner just has 0 interest in winning. The White Sox we don't really need to get into. The Rockies we don't need to get into. Just a dumpster fire. Yep. So the positive reputations, right? The Dodgers, if you win the World Series, then you go out and do what they did to add to it. That's what professional sports, not just baseball, is supposed to be. And that, we've been saying that, right? Aggressive acquisition schedules, aggressive player development, maybe too aggressive on the pitching side, but they care, they're invested, they're working, they invest in their fans, they invest in their players. Yeah.
But I think this is something too that we as fans don't see it as much. Is another one of the Dodgers says the Dodgers take care of players and their families. That's in addition to player development, but taking care of the players and their families, because I think that's an important thing. Like Juan Soto, one of the reasons that he cited for going to the Mets is because they're going to take care of his family with a suite. The Yankees are going to make him pay for one. He's like, I would prefer my family to be able to come see me at work without paying for it, which makes sense.
It does make sense. So on the Yankees and Dodgers are the gold standards for players' accommodations, always in on free agents. Home stadium is always packed. Another one says they take care of their guys. The food there is incredible.
It ought to be.
Yeah, that was, well, I shouldn't say that. Never mind. I was going to pin that on.
No, go ahead, Rick. Say it.
It was Rowdy Tellez.
Oh, maybe.
Just kidding. Everybody who goes to the Yankees absolutely loves it there, is what people say. So let me just pat my friends on the back there for a minute. The Braves are attributed as having a relaxed old school feel. I really like that. And another guy said the Braves do everything just as good as the Yankees. The way they take care of players' families, the way they treat you like you're just the best in the league. It's really cool.
That's awesome.
Here's the Red Sox. I thought this was interesting. The Red Sox was quoted as having said their medical staff is top-notch. It's like the one major positive. Now, of course, that could be because of some guy who's experiencing poor medical attendant,
Well, I think that guys experience it more often than what we know.
Oh,
because there are certain teams, and I'm not going to point to the Dodgers on this because we talk about it all the time. I think that's more of a training issue than the medical staff. But there are teams with players that seems like they can never get healthy, and they go somewhere else, and suddenly they're fine.
You're right.
And whether that is a quote-unquote lingering issue or something that truly just did not get the attention that it needed, because I've talked to athletes who have had to go elsewhere besides their internal medical staff to get solutions because they just couldn't or wouldn't figure it out.
Yep. It's like the military's that way, or was for a long time. I've been out long enough that I'm not sure it is, but I remember guys, we always had to say, okay, am I going to go out on the economy and deal with this? Or, and then do I have to answer for it? Do I have to keep it hidden from the organization as a whole that this is what I'm doing and needing because of XYZ reason? Is the organization going to take care of me? Is it going to be too slow and I need something soon? Lots of things like that. So you're right. It sounds like there's some parallel there. That would be a tough place to be if you were in an organization that did not care or
just
attend.
Didn't know how to do it.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, let's move on to robot umpires. It was announced early June that the automated ball strike system could, and now we know likely will, be implemented into Major League Baseball as early as the 2026 season. There is a proposal in place. So, are you in favor of the idea of robo-umps calling balls and strikes? 134 respondents. Again, this was from May through June, 2.5 months of the season. 134 guys. 63.4% said no. They are not in favor. 17.2% said yes. 19.4% uncertain.
It's really interesting because it feels like we get the vocal minority. I thought more players would be for it.
I did too. The way it's presented to us in the media during games, the guys they choose to ask and then air or quote seems to be in favor of it. All of the announcers I see or hear from, radio and television broadcasters, love it. They want it so bad. One guy said, I hate it. Another guy said, absolutely not. Here's one. It has proven effective in AAA and everywhere they tested it. One National League pitcher explained, why would you remove the human element?
Hold on. Ineffective.
Oh, sorry.
Proven
You're right. It has proven ineffective in AAA and everywhere. Thank you for catching that. I thought, yeah. Why would you remove the human element? The game will fundamentally change in a way the fans are definitely not going to like. It will make injuries and the competitive nature of the game worse. There would be fewer balls in play, and the games will take longer, all proven. The fact that that came from a pitcher is telling, right? We have to take that with that fat grain of salt that it requires. I think pitchers of all people are the ones against it.
Right, because they wouldn't get calls off the plate.
Yeah.
In the buffer zone.
That's right. That's right.
If it didn't say National League pitcher, I would have assumed that was Max Scherzer.
Yeah. Of course, Justin Verlander's in the National League now.
That was my next thought.
Yeah.
Justin Verlander.
It's going to have to be. But Scherzer would be the number one guy for sure.
Yeah.
Yep. I wonder if you could also pin that quote on, because the quote goes on to say the pitcher then laughed. I haven't thought about this at all. and then to giggle. But
Right. Tongue in cheek.
so
Yeah.
so it makes me think, who has been in the league long enough to have considered this, who will be affected the most by it, et cetera, et cetera. And then the third guy on the list is Clayton Kershaw for me. We would go Scherzer, Verlander, Kershaw, maybe Sale would be the next
Maybe,
guy.
yeah. He's been known to get a little crappy. So, yeah, you're right.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think, Scherzer and Verlander.
And this is one thing. And so, initially, I was all for like robo umps, full on, right? But I think the challenge system is the solution. And part of that is because there's another quote down here. It says, "Sometime in AAA last year, there were times you'd feel like you threw a ball right down the middle and it's a ball, and it's like, whoa, something's off there." It's like, yeah, you're right. There are times when it malfunctions, and I think, and that's part of the reason you still have an umpire rather than like a robot, like a literal robot back there, is because an umpire should be able to use his eyes on something like that and be like, no, that's off. Maybe tap his head and be like, let's recalibrate this thing, and I'm going to go manual here for a little while. But I think that's why the challenge system is the solution.
Right. Instead of the straight up.
100%, yeah. Instead of 100% called by a robot. Because there are times that it will malfunction, and if the umpire falls asleep, you're not going to get a good call.
Here's another quote I thought was spot on. I think they say, quote, "I think catchers' values are going to decrease. Catcher's value will decrease. Framing is an art. There are guys who have risen up in the ranks because they know how to frame well." I could not agree more. I think that is, not only have guys come up to the big leagues, not solely, but maybe principally on the ability to frame pitches, and that comes with knowing your guys, that comes with understanding their repertoire, that comes with knowing the zone for each batter, the umpire behind you, like lots of things are at play there. I don't want to be reductionist, but I think that there are guys who have, as of the last handful of years, that's where they excel the most. And without that, their career may never have reached this point.
Well, I'll tell you, I know Logan O'Hoppe would be getting more reps behind the plate if it came down to that. Because that's one of the things they cited that he needs to work on. They told him straight up he needs to work on his pitch framing if he wants to get more reps. Because they've moved him and Travis d'Arnaud almost 60-40 in the opposite direction. Because d'Arnaud is way better defensively. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
It's interesting. I watch... Right now, the Yankees are getting three guys are getting reps behind the plate right now, and it's they moved away from Jose Trevino, who was a platinum glover last year, and
a couple years ago
they let him go to the Reds, and there's never a better guy at framing. His offense.
How's Austin Wells do?
The problem. Austin Wells' defense is awesome.
Yeah.
His offense is really struggling right now. So then you've got J.C. Escarra, and they're getting Ben Rice reps behind the plate right now. And specifically, so he's caught before, but specifically, they have got to keep his bat in the lineup, and they're trying really hard to figure out how to
find
keep
any
him
way
there.
to do it.
It doesn't matter how. So he's played first, he's played behind the plate, he's DH'd. Those are kind of the places that they've got him platooning around right now. Yeah. Okay, so here's another quote. Rehabbing last year in AAA, and I had the ABS system, one outfielder said, "It was mind-blowing how small the zone is. I remember taking pitches low and away, and I figured I was down 0-1, and they called it a ball."
Yeah.
I think the zone, like you said, the buffer zone disappears, and suddenly guys are like, wait a minute. Even batters are going to just stop swinging the bat. Like, that's bad.
I don't think they'll
baseball.
stop swinging the bat. I don't know that they'll stop swinging the bat. If it's, I don't know, maybe though, because at that point, if you think you're down 0-1, you're ready to swing on the next pitch, and then all of a sudden you're up 1-0. It's like, maybe I don't. Yeah, you're right. Maybe I don't need to swing at the next pitch, right? Or maybe you can expect the next pitch is going to be more in on the plate, and so you're ready to swing at it. I don't know.
There still will be an element of gamesmanship between pitchers and batters. That will never change. thank goodness, because that cat and mouse game is one of my very favorites. And the further we get toward analytics and away from actual pitching, the more upset I will continue to become. I think robot umpires or ABS or the challenge system or whatever is a movement away from that straight up pitching chess match that I really appreciate.
Yeah.
And that's bad.
And I think that's why the challenge system with 2 challenges a game works.
Yep.
Because you're much more careful with it. You probably are not going to be using that innings 1 through 5 unless there's a critical situation. Like if you've got a noble tiger at play and a guy is about to strike out on on a questionable pitch, he'll challenge that in like the 3rd inning probably.
Yeah,
but
that's right.
I think it'll be good, and it'll help. I think it'll help the fan side of things, being like, oh my gosh, but the umpire was so bad late in the game, because that happens sometimes too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Anyway, go ahead.
Well, baseball family, tell us what you think. We're really interested in your responses to these player survey questions. We want to know how you feel your team was represented. So jump in the comments and let us know. Don't forget that the best way to support the show is with Patreon. You can go to patreon.com, search Baseball Together. There are 5 tiers of support, from $1 a month to $5, $10, $15 a month, and then a comically, enormously, ridiculously large $500 a month. That was very redundant. Yes, I know. And also adverbial. I apologize. But we are interested. Sorry, I've been writing a lot. We are just go look at it and laugh at what Brad has promised I will do. But if you have the ability and want to, we would appreciate a little bit of support. Patreon's the best way to do it. All right, baseball family, thanks for joining us. With that, don't forget to like, subscribe, rate, and review anywhere you're able, and we will catch you next week.